Made me cry like a baby, especially chapter 23 that should not exist in my opinion. It should be banned from the face of this earth, redacted completely, but still cried. Hello everyone, this is Fifi and welcome to my channel. If you're back from before, thank you so much for being here again. If you were new, my name is Fifi and I just do random stuff, but recently mostly have been talking about books. The lovely Miss Julia Delgado, one of my favorite booktubers here, tagged me in this mid-year book freakout tag that a lot of booktubers do here. We talk about the books that we've read so far in the year. And I know it's July, not anymore mid-year, but who is stopping me from filming this video? Who? Nobody. There are 13 questions here in this tag and I'm just gonna go dive right in. I have the books with me right here. Well, most of them. Some of them are gone. First, best book you've read so far in 2021. To me, best really just means it's my favorite genre, the writing, the characters, the plot, it's all there, all in one package. I am emotionally and problematically attached to this story and its characters. Gonna sound like a broken record if you've watched my previous videos and if you follow me on social media. I talk about this non-stop. It's actually a bit disturbing. People are sick of me talking about it. This won't be the last, but it is The Six of Crows duology by Miss Leigh Bardugo. Not just Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Basically the Six of Crows duology. You can't separate them, they come in a package. You can't have one without the other, so I'm just gonna say Six of Crows duology. Next question is kind of related to my first answer, but number 2 is best sequel you've read so far in 2021, and that is, again, it's Crooked Kingdom by Miss Leigh Bardugo. It is the best sequel, in my personal opinion, that I have ever read in my entire life. It's great. Fantasy adventure heists. If you haven't read it, I highly, highly recommend. New release you haven't read yet but want to. First one will be Malibu Rising by Miss Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have only read one other book of hers, which is this one, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. What can I say about The Seven Husbands that I haven't already said before? This is a phenomenon. If you are unfamiliar with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, you don't have to read that book to get into Malibu Rising, I believe, but it does revolve around certain characters from Seven Husbands, because one of the Seven Husbands mentioned is named McRiva, and this story is going to be about the children of McRiva. So it's about 4 siblings who grew up in kind of a Hollywood celebrity environment because their dad is super famous. They throw the most lavish parties every year, but then for this book in particular, it talks about one night, one party. It says, by midnight, the party will be completely out of control. By morning, the Riva mansion will have gone up in flames. So yeah, that's the scandalous thing that happened. 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I don't have her yet. I want to have her. I don't personally know anything about this book, but the reason I want it, look at this cover. Look at it. Isn't she magnificent? My favorite types of covers are super eye-catching sketches, especially if it's sketches of people. I really love it when there are like drawings, not real people, not like, okay, sorry, no shade thrown to Seven Husbands, but this is not the type of like people on the cover that I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a sketch of a person, or like a drawing or a painting of humans, or a portrait. I have an example. Insurrecto by Gina Apostol. Look at this. Isn't that so beautiful? I also have, wait, hold on, Sweet Bean Paste by Durian Sukegawa. This sketch, this drawing, I love art on the cover. What was I talking about again? Yeah, 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. It looks so interesting. I'm just saying this solely by the cover. I am so enamored by this cover. I would actually like to buy this hardbound. I don't buy hardbound because I'm broke. I'm a poor girl. But I will probably indulge myself for this one and get the hardcover because it's gorgeous. I actually don't mind if I don't end up super loving it. As long as I have this cover, I would like to go get it for myself. And then we have One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I super duper enjoyed what's that called? Red, White, and Royal Blue. And I am so stoked to pick up One Last Stop. This one is a sapphic novel this time. Do I know anything about this book? I don't. Okay, maybe I shouldn't. All I know is it's sapphic. It has a gorgeous cover as well. All I know also is it might be the teeniest tiniest bit better than Red, White, and Royal Blue, which is a stretch because I super enjoyed Red, White, and Royal Blue. So I'm hearing a lot of reviews that people like it better than the first book of Casey McQuiston. So super anticipating that. Last one is The Maidens by Alexander Michaelides. I am so excited to get it. Another dark academia book. I am currently reading a dark academia book at the moment and I am super loving it. I haven't actually gone into the dark academics genre as much, and I don't know why I haven't, because I'm super enjoying this one that I'm reading right now, which I will mention in a bit, which is why I am so highly anticipating The Maidens. Most anticipated release, but this time for the second half of the year. And I love this category because I listed 3 books in particular that I am so incredibly impatient for. Like, I need them now. And the first book is The Heart Principle by Miss Helen Hoang herself. And oh my goodness, if you haven't watched my Asian readathon or my May wrap-up video, I talked about The Kiss Quotient and The Bride Test by Helen Hoang, which are the first 2 books in her little The Kiss Quotient trilogy. Essentially, they're standalones. You can read them by themselves. Second book is, oh gosh guys, Daughter of the Deep by Riordan. Oh my gosh, look at this cover. I personally like this cover over this cover. There's just something about this that's so like old school Robert Pattinson, John Grisham-esque. I don't know, I'm super into those old vintage mass paperback type covers. But guys, a Riordan book that is set underwater. This channel isn't called Isla Girl for nothing, you know? My third highly anticipated release for the second half of the year is Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World by Benjamin Alire Saenz. Again, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that, but oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! We've been waiting and highly anticipating a sequel to Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. That is one of my favorite reads in high school. I absolutely adore that book. Okay, fifth question, biggest disappointment. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna super touch into this because I don't want this to be like a bit, you know, I don't know. I don't want to talk about things I don't like because I don't really not like things. I just get disappointed, or sometimes they're not my favorite genre or not my favorite writing or blah blah blah. I'm going to have to say these were 2 of my disappointing reads this year. This is, oh no, not this. I'm so sorry, wait. Found it. These were 2 of my disappointing reads this year, and I've already talked about this enough. I won't get into it, but this, all I'm gonna say is this just really did not live up to my expectations, especially because I read Shadow and Bone right after 6 of Crows, and I don't think that's a good idea for anybody. Next, and please don't hate me for this, please do not send hate. This is by no means like a shade to anyone who loves this, and I know majority, 99% of the people love this. And my favorite booktuber on Carly Thorne, she loves this book, she loves this author, and she is my favorite booktuber. So that says a lot about me. And that is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Don't come for my throat. Personally, it's not the book, it's me. It's not you, it's me. I still like it. I would say I liked it. It evoked a lot of emotions, a lot of pain, a lot of angst. So much angst. It was physically painful. Very, very rooted in reality. I think I was just disappointed by the hype I just don't think I was a target audience for this, and it's still a good book. Still a good book. Don't come for my throat. Again, don't come for my throat. I will cry. The last book in this category is The Patron Saint of Nothing by Ribay. And I will say the same thing I did for Normal People. I don't think I was the target audience for this either. I think this is a middle grade book, and not that I don't read middle grade, I do, but also I think since this is about the war on drugs, I'm guessing this was written for people who don't really know much about the war on drugs, or who don't live in the Philippines, or are not aware of the current events that are happening in the current administration. Very, I wouldn't say shallow, introductory is what is the word I would use to it. And I got this for the cover. This is what I'm talking about when I say I love sketches of people on the cover. Look at this. Look. So gorgeous. Okay, sixth question is biggest surprise. And I have 3 titles for this. First, this is gonna come to a surprise because this is contemporary fiction, and again, it's really not my favorite genre, but we have Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. I really love this, guys. This is super good. This is about a 36-year-old woman named Keiko who works in a convenience store part-time. She doesn't really have any other jobs aside from that, and her peers and family are pressuring her to find something stable, maybe get married because she's 36, and of course, due to societal standards, that is not the most successful thing or the successful life to live. So definitely a social commentary on normalcy and ableism. I love this. Another big surprise, which I already mentioned, is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. Holy smokes, I've read this twice already. That's how much I love this book. It's about a woman named Stella who is an econometrician, and she feels like she is really bad at sex. So she hires a male escort to teach her how to have sex because she's 30 and her parents are kind of pressuring her to get married and settle down. This seems to be a recurring theme upon women protagonists. And yeah, she hires a male escort named Michael, and you know, things happen, things develop. It's a romantic novel. I loved it. I've read it twice. And then last one is this. Oh my gosh, Alice in Wonderland. This is the first classic I read this year. Yes, this is a children's classic, and I know we've all watched the movie version, the Disney one, but guys, I did not know, had no clue how incredibly funny Alice is. She is so funny. One of my annotations here is, who made Alice a comedian, and why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me that she is so funny? Oh god, she is the quirky one, I think. I'm gonna read to you a line. This isn't even the funniest line. This was in the scene where she was following the white rabbit and she fell into the rabbit hole. I wonder if I shall fall right through the earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among the people that walk with their heads downwards. But I shall have to ask them what the name of the country is, you know. Please, ma'am, is this New Zealand or Australia? I can't believe this girl thinks that if she falls through the earth, she's gonna end up in New Zealand or Australia. And she's gonna be walking upside down. Question: favorite new author debut or new to you? So I will mention Miss Leigh Bardugo. I think she deserves a quick mention because she wrote 2 of my favorite books this year, and probably one of my favorite books of all time. 2 of my favorite books of all time. But I wouldn't say she's the most consistent in terms of her other books because, again, like I mentioned, the Shadow and Bone trilogy was not my favorite. I've also read King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, that whole duology, and while I loved it, there were a lot of inconsistencies, and I wouldn't rate it, you know, perfect 5 stars. But still, Miss Leigh Bardugo deserves to be in this category for writing 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and I think that's enough. That's her contribution to this world, to me, and yeah, Leigh, I love you. Newest fictional crush. Okay, I have 3. I'm going to mention Nikolai Lantsov and Tolia Yulbatar from the King of Scars duology. If you guys have read 6 of Crows, you might have seen Nikolai there. If you've read Shadow and Bone, Nikolai is definitely there, and also Tolia. The last one is Patroclus from Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I'm going to talk about this book later, but he is the narrator for the Song of Achilles, and I am so glad Madeline Miller did what she did with her magic and, you know, made Patroclus the narrator of Achilles' life. He wasn't really a main character in the Iliad. He was, you know, someone in passing, someone who we didn't really get to see in depth in the Iliad, but this here, right here, made me fall in love with Patroclus so much. Best boy in the world. I love him. Okay, newest favorite character. This is different from fictional crush and favorite character, so I had to think about this. I will have to say it will have to be Kazbreker and Nina Zenik from Leigh Bardugo's Six of Crows duology, and I said this once, I will say it again and again and again. Kazbreker is Leigh Bardugo's greatest masterpiece, in my personal opinion. Again, he is just such a character. I love him to death. As well as Nina Zenik. She is my queen. Resonate with her so much. She is the woman I strive to be. And we'll mention again Patroclus from the Song of Achilles, but also Chiron, which deserves all the praise in the world. I think in every mythological retelling of, you know, this story, or of every story where Chiron is involved, everyone is just in love with him. He is our favorite character. He trained Jason, he trained Perseus and Hercules and Achilles. We love our favorite half horse, half man. Question number 10, books that made you cry. Oh my gosh, this was quite a difficult like question or category, because almost all books I cry, I find a reason to tear up at least, but I chose the ones where I really bawled like a baby. I just waited a whole 30 minutes for the rain to pitter patter. It's still kind of drizzling, but I am afraid for the sun to, well, there's no sun, but for the light to disappear. So you're just going to have to bear with the little droplets of water from the atmosphere, from the clouds. Please, I don't know science. Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. Things happened in that book that destroyed me. I cried. I will insert a clip of myself crying over here because of Crooked Kingdom right after that scene. You know what I'm talking about if you've watched, if you've read Crooked Kingdom. Third book is also by Miss Leigh Bardugo because she just is so good with the waterworks. Not in a way that is like, you know, she's good at writing sad books. No, it's just she's so good at making you attached to her story, her characters, her universe, that when something goes bad. So that is Rule of Wolves by, again, Miss Leigh Bardugo. This destroyed me. It made me cry like a baby, especially chapter 23 that should not exist in my opinion. It should be banned from the face of this earth, redacted completely, but still cried. Okay, shout out to The Bride Test, because holy smokes did I cry in that book. Mostly because of the angst that I felt, you know, in the whole romance thing that's going on. Angst all over. I was sobbing. This is such a memorable like crybaby read because I was under the covers, I was reading on my phone, and I was just sobbing. Like there was snot all over my pillows, all over my face. It was a journey. Next, we have to mention this. We have to mention this guy. I will be coming up with a reading vlog for this, and it's gonna be up after this video, so please watch out for that. But anyway, this is a reimagining of Achilles' story in the Trojan War, narrated by, like I said, Patroclus, and it revolves around their relationship, and it's just magical. This was, wow, this was. I am going to give also another quick shout out to this gem of a book, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. If you haven't heard of this book, where have you been living? You've probably been under a rock all this time. V.E. Schwab, this is my first Schwab book, writes like magic. Her mind is made up of fairy dust. She can spin your grocery store trip into a fairy tale. That is how wonderfully beautiful she writes. I do admit it's not my favorite book I've ever read or like not one of my favorites this year, mostly because the writing style isn't my style. I love things that are very fast paced. I love a good like adventure, thriller, action, whatever. This was more of an atmospheric, meandering type of read. It's so beautiful. It's just that when I read it at first, it's not what I expected it to be. I was expecting it to be something else, and it turned out to be something completely different but completely beautiful. So I cried. I did. V. Schwab just knows how to tug on your heartstrings like no other. She writes fantasy so well. Okay, after books that made me cry, I will now talk about the books that made me happy. And I have 3 titles that I want to share. First, I've already mentioned this. The Red, White, and Royal Blue book by Casey McQuiston. This made me so happy because it reminded me so much of 90s teenage rom-coms, particularly What a Girl Wants by Amanda Bynes. Also, Chasing Liberty starring Mandy Moore, and what is the other one? First Daughter starring Katie Holmes. I love those 3 movies. I love movies that involve like politics, if that makes any sense. I love Air Force One. I love White House Down, London Has Fallen. So this one, that type of genre in a like rom-com, teenage rom-com type, everything I wanted, made me so happy. The next one is, I don't have the physical copy and I want to have it, but I read it on an ebook, and it is called She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan. Another queer novel, and we love to see it because these novels are just the ones that make me happy. This one in particular is an enemies to lovers and fake dating trope. This book reminded me so much of high school, but in a good way. You know, high school wasn't the best for me, but this just gave color to my high school, and I love this book so much. It has a special place in my heart. But also, look at this cover. Guys, this cover is everything. Again, reiterating that I love sketches of people on covers, so I definitely have to have this book physically. And the last book that made me happy, I've already mentioned this in the previous category, but I'm gonna mention it again. Alice in frickin' Wonderland. This was a gem. I don't know what else to say about this, but just read it. It's so good. The language that Lewis Carroll uses in this book is so vibrant, so colorful, so happy. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. The most beautiful one I've got to say is S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorse. This is also known as The Ship of Theseus by V.M. Straka. This book is a concept curated by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorse. If you don't know who J.J. Abrams is, he is the director of a number of Star Wars films and also Star Trek. He conceptualized this kind of story within a story type of book, where there is this book called The Ship of Theseus by V.M. Straka. Obviously, V.M. Straka is not a real person. They wrote this book. But within the Ship of Theseus book, and this is kind of made like to look like an old book. It has a library sticker and everything. When you open the page, it says book for loan, and then when you open it even further, look at that. It has annotations. It's all annotated. So there is actual handwriting, stamps on the book, and not just that. There are inserts on the book as well. Let's look at this insert. A postcard, another postcard. There's so many. There are photographs over here. There's a handout from like a class lecture. There's also a piece of tissue with a map of like, who knows, a map of what. The concept is this book, The Ship of Theseus, is in a library and 2 students borrow it. Alternatively, they start writing, the first person starts writing annotations, and then the second starts responding to the other person's annotations, and then they form kind of a conversation while borrowing the books. It's so cute. I've read like the first few parts. These 2 students are bantering on V.M. Straka itself, the fictional author, and The Ship of Theseus, again, the fictional book. I'll probably be doing a reading vlog on this, so please watch out for that. Another beautiful book that I have is this one, and this is called All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. Guys, look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? So I bought this because of the cover. I was fully booked after work and I was just scanning the shelves and I wanted to get a book that I didn't know about. I didn't look this up on Goodreads. I judged it basely and mostly on the cover and on the blurb at the back. So based on the blurb, it is going to be about pirates and mermaids. So again, this channel isn't called Isla Girl for nothing. I love things about the ocean, pirates, maritime literature, mermaids. I'm so excited. If you know about this book, don't tell me, but don't tell me what it's about. Don't tell me if it's good or bad. I'm hoping it's good, but if it doesn't end up being good, I mean, at least I get a pretty book. Last but not the least, I haven't finished this book yet. I am in the process of reading it. This book, holy smokes, I won't talk about it now, what it's about, but I am so excited to share this with you guys because this is by an indie author, Olivia Blake. She self-published this book. This is a self-published book that got so popular on Book Talk that Barnes & Noble had to sell it, and now it's available on Book Depository. I don't know if Fully Book sells it, I don't think so, but if you are from the Philippines and you're interested in getting your hands on this baby, Book Depository is your best friend. This is not a sponsored video. I just am always on Book Depository all the time. But look at this. I had to, and I know there are people against plastic covers, but the thing is, this book is kind of a matte. It has a matte texture, and my hands are perpetually oily. So when I hold it in my hands, I get oil prints that are yucky all over the book. So I opted for a plastic cover. But look at this. Can you see? There. Look at this cover. Isn't this wow? This is a dark academia book. Again, this has fueled my love for dark academia, so now I want to read more. But this book cover was also designed by Olivia Blake herself, and she is so nice. She replied to me on Instagram. I was so starstruck. There was this chapter in this book. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about the book. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'll probably do a whole separate video just on this book alone because the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And this is a rude question because my TBR, do we even want to talk about how absolutely ridiculous my TBR is? No. But anyway, I have special mentions. I mean, that's my entire TBR, but I have special mentions that I'm super excited about. First, Insurrecto by Gina Apostol. I have had this since the beginning of the year and I haven't picked it up, and I should. We have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This is, I think, the blueprint enemies to lovers. I don't know, everyone's been talking about this. Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This is an adult fantasy, of course. I believe it's a Mulan-esque type of book. It says peasant, student, soldier, goddess. Ooh. And then we have Lovely War by Julie Berry. Everyone has read this already but me. When I post this on Instagram, I get so many replies because people are like, Fif, you've got to read this. It's a historical fiction about Paris. And I think this is narrated by Aphrodite. But yeah, isn't that so interesting? Aphrodite telling your love story. So excited. Last but not the least, we have Anne of Green Gables. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I've heard so many things about this, but also because I love Anne with an E so much. It did not deserve to be canceled by Netflix. I don't know. Now, Netflix! So many people have been raving about this on BookTube, especially the classic side of BookTube. So a lot of classic lovers really love Anne of Green Gables, and I would love to start my classics journey with another children's classic because I loved Alice in Wonderland so much. So I just know I love Anne of Green Gables. Yeah, that is it, guys. Oh my god, that was so long. I hope you're still here. Thank you so much for being here and for clicking on this video. If you have had awesome reads also this year, please let me know. I would love to know what they are and add them to my endless TBR. Thank you so much for swimming by my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video if you did, no pressure. And I will see you next time in my Song of Achilles vlog. Good afternoon, good morning, good night. I hope it's not too rainy wherever you are. Mwah. Bye bye.